Joining me for News You Missed are none other than my co-hosts, Felicia Entwistle and Kyle Steenblick, and also joining us tonight is none other than the badass mistress of the written word in podcasting universe, Marissa McCool. Welcome. Are you guys all ready to climb back on top of the bad dragon dildo that is Donald Trump news for this week? Sorry, folks. I know you're tired of this guy,
Am
too.
I? Yeah.
But he is considerably blurring the line between church and state, and we must resist.
He's blurring everything.
I had a dream that I flipped him off to his face.
Did you guys see has the protest happened already where they were going to moon Trump Tower? Did anybody know if that one's gone through yet?
I feel like we would have heard about that one.
Yeah, I think the news would have been blown up about that one.
I know that there's like a series of protests that are designed to disrupt his life everywhere he goes.
Yay!
That's pretty nice.
Democracy. Okay, so the first item that we have for you guys this week is what is it? What do you want to call him? An activist judge in Seattle. I guess that's what they were calling him under Obama. But
he's a terrible judge.
He's a terrible
so
judge.
awful. Poor excuse for a judge.
Even though he was appointed by GWB himself.
So-called judge.
Oh, yes, so-called judge. This morning.
Yeah, there we go.
Does anybody else wake up in the... We're going to get right back to it, but does anybody else wake up in the morning and do the whole Captain Picard status report? when you jump
what
on
did he say? What did he do?
What the fuck
did he do? No, I started doing that. It's I've got a little section of my Twitter now set up. It's what did he do? And I've got all of the alternative and rogue staff.
So
Twitter accounts.
I'm gonna take a break. I don't need to know every little thing.
No, I'm
I need
to.
I need to like get away and stop being depressed because I've got a few projects that I'm starting to ramp up in, and I know I'm doing good there. I don't need to know every atrocious thing that happens. Just need to focus on the things I can do to oppose him.
So the news that we do have is a judge in Seattle, an activist judge, has halted Trump's immigration order nationwide. So in a stunning, this comes from the Seattle Times. We've got a couple of people that live up that way, especially up in Everett. Hey guys, in a stunning rebuke, a federal judge in Seattle has ordered a national halt to enforcement of President Trump's controversial travel ban on citizens from 7 predominantly Muslim nations. U.S. District Judge James Robart ruled Friday in favor of the Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson, who sued this week to invalidate key provisions of Trump's executive order. And so, let's see. Bob Ferguson said, "The Constitution prevailed today. No one is above the law, not even the president." And of course, the governor of Washington's extremely happy about it. He said this is a tremendous victory. And so, let's see. The governor says, "We should feel heartened by today's victory and more resolute than ever that we are fighting on the right side of history." And I'm glad that people are standing up in defiance and the fact that Trump cannot fire this judge.
Right.
What Trump said?
Just you wait. I'm gonna fire him so hard.
The thing that killed me was that he said something along the lines that, and I'm going to paraphrase here, when a judge can undermine law enforcement so that a country can't even keep itself safe, something is very wrong, something like that. And it's like, okay, buddy, let's establish a couple of things. Judge's judicial branch, which guess what law enforcement falls under? Them. Too. Judicial. Roger.
No, I said
Roger. Yeah, judicial. The judicial branch, law enforcement falls under them, motherfucker. 2, the country didn't decide this. You did.
Unilaterally.
You.
Executive ordering his way across.
You getting elected is not meaning you do everything you want now, motherfucker. That's not how this works.
That's not even how his company works. He's not been part of he's on the board, of course, but he doesn't probably actually take part in any of the fucking day-to-day.
Oh, I'm sure they give him I'm sure they give him like coloring books and they're like, "Hey, tell us what we're businessing now." And he's like, "I want golden curtains." And they're like, "They can be golden color." And he's like, "No, gold." And they're like, "Okay, Trumpy, don't be."
Oh God, I just imagine him like Unicorn Kitty. Business.
I'm really offended by this implication that I have coloring books. I am not in a safe space in one of those liberal places. I just need a place where I am protected from everyone else's opinion, and I can fire them if they disagree with me. Big difference. Big difference.
You bunch of snowflakes.
Yeah.
Are you triggered? Oh my God, I'm so sick of the right just walking over these words and people picking it up like it's a thing. Like
that word matters to me. That word means something very real to me. Like today I got triggered and it like ruined most of my day.
I blame 4chan. I blame 4chan for a lot of things these days.
You probably should. I mean,
yeah.
And then they act like they're like, "Oh, you're just being sensitive." It's like, no, I literally had abuse done, and now my brain is different.
Well, speaking
and
of
it hurts.
speaking of these guys using triggered the wrong way, let's talk about how the Washington State Republican Party has reacted to this whole thing. Let's see. At a press conference on Monday, Susan Hutchinson, the chairman of the Washington State Republican Party, accused Ferguson of filing the lawsuit solely as a political ploy to further a possible future run for governor. The conservative judge.
That is the weirdest. Did they make a Rube Goldberg machine to come to that conclusion? Did they do like in South Park where they cut the head off a chicken, then it like runs around, and then where it dies? Is that how they decided this judge was corrupt?
No, the right has the manatee ball grabbing sorting thing that does like the whole, gives them the plot.
He made this decision as a political ploy to run for governor. Very smart, manatees.
And
that
we
is
blame.
quite
Let's see. Let me grab this ball over here. George Soros. There we go.
We blame. Oh, there's only one ball. It's Obama.
I've asked him where I could send my. I've actually messaged him on Twitter. I'm like, where do I send my invoice, sir? I want my protesting money. Apparently, that's what we're all getting for doing all this shit. Let's see. She says, I think he knows that he's got very thin ice that he's standing on legally. She said. Okay.
No.
Okay. Just that statement followed by this one. Hang on. She said, I'm not a lawyer.
Good to know.
No, hang on. But listen, he's on very thin ice, standing on it legally. I'm not a lawyer, but I've talked to lawyers today, and they've all said this is a very thin argument legally. Like, but you're not a lawyer, so shh about the law.
So you talked to some lawyers that may. And when you say lawyers, did you mean a guy that didn't finish law school who hangs out with you?
It's all good.
It's all good. Yeah, it's all good.
No. She meant Andrew Torres, and she took legal advice from a podcast.
Yes.
Which you should absolutely do, by the way.
Yes, listen.
We should.
Listen to
We have-
Also, you should punch Nazis.
We've got the best advice.
That's coming up on the Patreon show. We're going to talk about
Oh,
Nazi punching because I
okay.
didn't get to talk to you guys about
All
it
right.
last week. Let's see. Robardt, who was nominated for the federal bench by the Republican president GWB in 2003, disagreed. He ruled that despite respect for the limits of judicial power, we must intervene to fulfill the judiciary's duty to uphold the Constitution.
Or
Federal
as
courts-
it used to be called, doing your job.
Yeah. Federal courts
If I remember
have...
correctly, hold on. I just want to
Okay.
clarify something. The judge has not actually made a ruling. He hasn't said this is unconstitutional. He said he fears it would be unconstitutional, and therefore, because we don't have a case on this, we haven't it's not been evaluated properly. The only proper recourse is to put a pause on it, to say an injunction, right?
Yeah.
Did I
until
understand that correctly?
Until we actually have real laws written about what Trump is trying to do, until they go through the proper steps of vetting this fucking thing through the State Department and all of the other branches of the government and, the bureaucracy that is supposed to, work when you have executive orders.
Yeah.
But no,
Trump
he didn't do any of that. He's just like, nope, I want all them dark-skinned people not to come in from these 7 countries. Fuck the other ones,
Yeah.
the ones that actually sponsor
Not the
terror, but no.
Yeah. Oh,
Ones that give
the awesome part is they actually managed to go through and revoke all these visas after the order was signed
Like 60,000.
without a Secretary of State. They didn't have a staffed State Department to actually do that.
And I read a news item, and we're going to finish this one up in a sec, but I read a news item just before we jumped on here from, it was on Reddit, from I think it was the New York Post, that said that Steve Bannon had to be reminded the other day that he's not president. Where like something was happening along the lines of President Trump needed to push out a signing statement to somebody else for something, and the Bannon told the secretary, he's like, I want you to sign this for the president, and he's like, I'm sorry, I only serve at what the president asks me to do. So it went like 3 days without being done, and so that was a lot of the chaos when they sent out this ban, that it wasn't signed by the right people at the right time to get all the shit done. So anyway, back to the news item here. Attorneys for the Trump administration said that Washington state lacked standing to bring the challenge, and that the president has properly exercised his broad border security powers to protect Americans.
Except for none of that at all.
Yeah, refugees
states do have standing.
Yeah, and the refugees, you're not likely to be killed by them. What did they say? You're more likely to be killed by a toddler and a cow than you are more likely to be killed by a refugee in this country.
You know what
toddler
would really
cow?
protect America?
Oh, but they're so cute. They're amazing.
Their tongues, they're so long, and then they like wrap around your arm, and you're like, it's kind of gross and cute all at once.
Did you guys ever look at the? Remember how when you used to buy CDs, you'd be able to lift up that jewel case part, and sometimes there'd be that extra little bit of art that's hidden inside of it. Remember the Tool Undertow album where if you look, there was a cow licking its own asshole.
Oh. I was gonna say I actually know a policy that would make Americans a lot safer, save a lot more lives every year. Banning dogs. Now I love dogs, but if he really wants to put Americans first, ban dogs.
Oh, man,
they kill way more people every year.
Tone deaf. Just this whole administration is just tone deaf on everything. Oh, we're gonna do this America first thing. Like, you do realize that was a white nationalist group, right? You know that said that a long time ago. Let's see.
So, real quick, one of the things that I saw that just drove me insane. It was on William's newsfeed, and it was one of his conservative family members. And they post a meme that was like, don't you understand? He wasn't trying to offend anyone. He was just trying to put America first. It's like, oh, now I'm offended. Okay, you see what he did was offensive. It was disgusting. You saying that? Now I'm offended.
So every
I love all the
This is let's see. This came from the an administration brief submitted by Chad Friedler, acting assistant U.S. Attorney General, because he fired the other one for having doing her job. Another Justice Department lawyer says that every president over the last 30 years has invoked this authority to suspend or impose restrictions on the entry of certain aliens or classes of aliens, in some instances including classifications based on nationality.
No.
You're talking about bringing in refugees and stuff like that. We're talking about green card holders, people with visas that are just traveling home to visit somebody for a little bit, trying to get back into the country, and you're like, hey, wait a minute, hey, no darkies allowed. It's just like,
yes. And yes, other administrations have said, yeah, we're kind of having a problem with this country. Let's go ahead and do some extra checks on people traveling from that country. That's pretty much the extent of it.
Exactly.
They keep talking.
I mean, there have been temporary restrictions.
Not like whole cloth. No.
Right.
Even under Obama, the ban they keep referencing wasn't a ban. In fact, over the entire 6 months, we were still receiving refugees from Iran.